Thank you for joining the Tuesday, July 3rd VOLTHA call. So we'll be going over some Sprint 4 items today, and just a reminder that we do record the sessions so we can post them later to the VOLTHA playlist. So keep that in mind during the discussions and any presentations if there are any today. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So the main thing I think today, we'll start with going over some updates on what we have in progress for Sprint 4. I see that there was some planning that happened while I was out of the office, so we've got a number of issues underway. So thank you everyone for your work on that. And then some of the new issues will be reviewed at the same time, but then we'll go and take a look at the JIRAs that have opened since last week. And just a little reminder that on Thursday, we have scheduled a presentation on G.fast and VOLTHA. So that's upcoming later this week. With that, let's go ahead and get started with the status updates on Sprint 4. And let me see who we've got. Okay, I don't see Ken on the line for updates on the core work. Do we have anyone else who can speak to that today? All right, I'm not hearing that, so I think I will pass over those right now and go down to 9:54. And John, I see you're on for the Foundry today. So this one is a new one that's in progress and is being worked by Matt. ONO's OLT app should have separate flags for enabling DHCP or IGMP flows. And let's see, so David, I see that you did make some comments from the last time. I think we're still working on trying to get this one resolved. So Don, do you know on Matt's side if there are any open issues still for this, or has the info needed?
Other than Matt's on vacation this week.
Ah, then okay. So we may have to check in on this next week then. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of tagging it correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, the work is done. It's
okay.
It's just
so
where did you merge it?
Week we can, yeah, next week hopefully we can get that one closed out then. So thank you for that update, Don. Then the next one's 778. And Venkata, you're working on this item. I think I saw you.
This is done actually, so it's ready for review.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can get to Garrett in here. Okay. And is it all three of these, or
The last one.
just the last one? All right.
That's the recent one.
Okay. And so, Jana, we have you on there, and Ken's not on the bridge today. But if we could get a look at that, actually there are comments in there, it looks like. So Venkata, see if you may want to take a moment to go in and review the comments. And then we'll continue working on that item. Any questions that need to be discussed on this one today? All right. And 7:55. And I don't think we usually have Gopi on the bridge today. So the latest comment is that the Helm chart is working now for this item. So this was creating a Helm chart for Ponsim V2. And then there's a related Garrett link in here. So I think there had been some discussion while I was gone. Let me go take a look. Okay, so this one has a -1 from Jenkins at the moment. So this may need to go back here. All right. Anyone on the bridge? I know a number of you have had discussions on this item. Do we have anything we can discuss for this item today with the group on the bridge? Or just continue?
No, I think it's just in progress.
Okay.
One of the big things we're waiting for is there's a issue that needs to be fixed upstream in the CNI Genie.
Okay.
So
okay.
I think Gopi was wanting to turn his attention to that when he got some time, but he has other things on his plate right now with the quarterlies.
Okay. Thanks, Jana. Okay, then we'll move on to the next one. And the next one is on OpenOMTI, and I know Chip is out of the office this week as well. And so he'd given an update before he left on the remaining work for this. I think we will sync up with him when he's back in the office. 506, multiple pond multicast support. Let me see if we've got Andy. I don't see Andy on the bridge today. Is there anyone else from Nokia that can comment on the status for this? Last we'd heard it was under test, and there was hope to get it resolved fairly quickly, but the expectation was that it would not meet Sprint 3, which is why it's carrying over into Sprint 4. Is there anyone who can? Yes.
This is Dimitris. Hi. Okay. Actually, we are under test with the VOLTHA 1.3. Now we have to test it with latest.
Okay.
Either end of this week or early next week. Most probably we will commit.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that update. Any questions for Demetrius before we move on? 506. Make a note to myself there. Okay. All right. And the next item, 705. And Matt's out of the office, so we may not have an update. I think he had given one in
there's
status update last week.
Yep.
Don, did you
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
think here?
well, he was clearly saying it wasn't going to happen
Right.
for Sprint 3 closure, obviously.
Right.
But there is progress he's making. It's just he's working it locally until.
Okay.
But he's making progress, so I mean, I know that's the update.
And for folks who are interested, there is a link to the work he's been doing on that as well, so you can take a look at the in progress. All right, let's move on to the next item in progress then, 762.
Yeah, so
mm-hmm.
so I do have an update on this. I just got it from Jonathan that they have it working. The problem is you have to physically reboot the ONT, and so they're going to change their approach. But I mean, into next week they're thinking they'll have it reworked. It's just they went down a path that turned out to have a dead end in front of it.
Okay, so that will target late next.
Yeah.
Okay, other questions from the group before we move on? And the next one, 956. And this one, Shad, let's see if you're connected. I thought I saw you. Yes, you are on the bridge. So OpenOLT traffic management support.
Yeah, I'm still working on this. I haven't.
Okay. And I did a comment. I had a question for you here. So this has a comment that this was, were you closing this to track under a different issue instead? Under 737?
Yeah, 737 is more like an epic. It's that's why I wanted to track the limited change of the support in the OpenOLT adapter for some specific things under this Jira.
Okay.
Maybe if Sean is around, or I'll send him an email. 737 is he's written 737. It's pretty. It's got a lot of stuff in it. It's more like an epic.
Okay.
So if he's fine with it, we can make that. I mean, yeah, So I'm more comfortable tracking it under a smaller story of this one.
Got it. Okay. Thanks. And 1043. This is one of the newer items. And OpenOLT ONUID is attributed per OLT rather than per PON port. And this one is being worked by Nick.
Yeah, and it's in progress.
In progress. Okay. And then 1046 is again, one that's in progress being worked by Nick. Volta sends port status message to ONOS periodically.
I think it's up for review.
It does look like it. So who have we got on here? So Jono, currently you're, or the assignee on that, or the reviewer rather. Okay. All right. And then next 1052, and this is again one that has a Garrett review open. Any discussion we need from the group on this item today? Okay, and Jono, again, it looks like you're tagged on that one as a reviewer. And then let me see if we've got Gamza on.
Is Jono on?
Yeah.
I wonder what it. Jono has a lot in his plate. Jono, do we need help on reviewing codes?
I think I can review that one. Should be fine.
Okay.
Thanks. And then next we have 732, and this one is in progress, is still being worked by Gamza, and I believe there's a link she provided to a review as well. I'm not sure why it's not populating in Garrett here, but this one, and I don't think Sean Missette is on either. So I did have a question on this. So this one is for review, I believe, but it did show as being blocked by one of the other issues. So I think likely we need to clean that up a little bit, and then also probably move this subtask into Sprint 4 as well. But is there anyone on the call that can speak to that? I don't think we have the right representation today for this one.
There was an email on the discuss list about this one. If this is the issue that's blocking, it was an issue of really a clarification that Sean responded to around how the upstream downstream profiles were going to be stored and accessed by ONOS. The clarification was, I think, made in the discuss list, so I think we're okay.
Okay. So I'll take a look at the email chain. Thank you, David, for that. And so likely we'll be able to remove that blocker item since it's been dealt with on VOLTHA Discuss. So thanks for the update. Any other comments from folks before we move on to the next item? Okay, then I think we'll go to some of the to-do items. And then this one, 484, this is one that carried over, I think, from the previous sprint. Delete and addition of flows are not working on the edge core. And we'd move this one to sprint 4. Let me see if we've got Amit on the call.
Hi, Julie, this is Amit.
Hi, Amit.
Yeah, we have started looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have started looking into it. As soon as we have some clarity and progress, we will pull it into the progress state.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then 767, this one's assigned to Nick, but not in progress yet. Pawn admin up and down. And I think probably nothing we need to talk about for this one is just moved into sprint 4, probably during planning last week. Questions from the group before we move on? Okay. Then full 789 is one of the defects. And I think, Shad, I'll have a question for you on this one. This is one where we had talked previously about having 2 separate issues, one for the state machine and one for CLI. And I'm not sure if you and Jono had that discussion.
No, we have not. I think, yeah, this has been pending for some time. So, yeah, I'll see to it that me and Jono discuss this today and do something about this.
Great, thank you. And then next is 483, clear alarms not working on the edge core adapter. And Amit, this was again one with
Yeah,
your name
Julie.
on it as well.
Yeah, we've started looking into this as well.
Okay.
So we are seeing a little bit of weird kind of a behavior with the alarms. So we're trying to consolidate all of that, and we'll update the the Jira ticket, as well as ask some questions to Broadcom.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then the next item is 733. Update the OF agent to support the pass-through and error consistency checking for meters and tech profile reference via flow table ID. And Jana, this one's in the to-do state, but it does have your name on it at the moment. Do you think this one will be covered in Sprint 4?
I think some of it might be. I think we may start working on the meter implementation.
Okay. And then actually, I probably should give a little recap reminder for folks that Sprint 4 is planned to run through July 20th. All right, thanks, Jono. And then the next one is a blocker defect that was opened recently, and that's 1047. I know there's been some discussion on this one. Wanted to see if we need to spend some time on this with the group today, or
yeah, I think we do.
yeah.
let me just let me frame the issue, and so you can get a lease from etcd, and you can assign key values to that lease so that if your lease expires without a refresh, those keys are automatically deleted. So good for service stuff. The issue is, or the indication was, it was getting overloaded. When I dug through it, we were requesting a 10-second lease, but we were refreshing it every second. And without going through their code, it looks like when you do that lease refresh, you actually lock the cluster until it's done. And there, I found some just chatter where they said, doing it too short will actually cause some serious performance issues on etcd. So testing, we changed our refresh to match what the lease expectation was, 10 seconds, and all of our performance problem indications went away. My hesitation in just submitting a patch to do that was, I don't know that much about etcd, and so I was kind of hoping, if Sergio's not on, but I was hoping to have kind of a discussion if is that a reasonable fix for that? I mean, I know that the issues go away, and we've had it running now for 5 days or 4 days, and we haven't seen a single timeout, and it's very responsive.
So your solution is to increase the lease hold time to 10 seconds?
No, the lease hold time was always 10 seconds. If you look in Coordinator etcd, we were refreshing it every second. But when you look at the lease time we were requesting, it was 10 seconds. Now, it may make sense to change it to 5 seconds, so we never have to worry about a lease expiring accidentally.
Well, it says in the JIRA that we changed it to 10, so it must have been lower before.
No, I'm sorry. There's two numbers. There's the number you say, etcd, this is what I would like my lease to refresh, my lease to last for. That's 10 seconds. And then there's the reset my lease, and we were doing that every second. Does that make sense? There's a loop in this method right here where we do a I forget the name of it, but every second we were telling it, rerun this leadership tracking, okay? But the lease itself didn't expire for another 9 seconds.
We're going to have to look into this, because to me that doesn't sound right. I thought the whole idea behind the leadership lease is that you want to keep it short, because if the leader dies, you want to be able to create a new leader election very quickly. on the order of a second, not 10 seconds.
Yeah. You're talking about the etcd leader?
No, I'm talking about the vCore leader. This leadership tracking loop that controls
right.
the tracking of vCore leader.
Okay, well, I mean, I can tell you that etcd likes it a lot better at 10 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, there could be a difference between etcd and console because the logic there really isn't different.
Well, but you understand you're asking for a 10-second lease on that leader tag, right? So it's not going to go away for 10 seconds.
Right,
even if you're refreshing it every second.
The question is when is a failure detected? And if you're looping at 10 seconds at the least time, failure is detected at 10 seconds.
And that's not acceptable.
Well, no, I'm sorry. That's actually not right. You're telling etcd keep this key value alive for 10 seconds. So it's not going to go away for 10 seconds unless somebody else goes ahead and does it. What you're saying is
it's too long.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're the one that set the 10-second, or whoever set that. So there's two different timers. One is what we tell etcd, and one is how often we refresh it.
Right. I'm from what I'm hearing, I think the idea is that refresh time of 1 second means that we should be able to detect a failure within 1 second and elect a new core leader. Is what I think I'm hearing. When we set that second timer, the refresh timer, to 10 seconds, at least what I think I'm hearing is that means we won't detect a core failure and be able to do a core reelection until 10 seconds after up to 10 seconds after the failure.
And I'm saying I don't think that's accurate. What I'm saying is when vCore number 2, who's going to take over as leader because vCore 1, it's going to hit etcd, and etcd is going to have an alive leader tag. It's not going to go away for 10 seconds. So, it doesn't make sense to have a 10-second if we're saying we need to detect it at 1 second. Because it's still going to indicate that we're good.
I think we need to test the failure scenario and understand what happens when both the lease and refresh time are at 10 seconds.
So the English, we're looking right at the screen there, which obtains a lease from the etcd leader every default 1 second. We changed it to 10. So is that the lease duration time, or is that the refresh time? It's not clear to me.
Okay, well, there's more to it. There's more comments, but the refresh time is set to 10 seconds. The lease we asked for has always been 10 seconds. Just based on the VOLTHA.yml file. So, can you, Julie, can you bring up the VOLTHA YML?
Hold on. Bring up what? I'm sorry.
Well, can you? Maybe we can talk about this in just a separate meeting. But the idea that you're going to detect the failure any shorter than what you set your actual lease for is wrong, because it's going to give you the indication that there is a leader until that tag or that key value times out. So if we're saying it has to be shorter than 10 seconds, then both the refresh and the reset have to change.
Yeah, I think they have to be short. Yeah.
Okay, well, I can tell you 1 second kills etcd. And if you're running etcd operator says it's unresponsive and kills it. So putting it too short creates a bigger problem than it solves.
And the refresh duration, if we say every second, that will be too frequent, right? So Because right now, you were saying that the XD is refresh every 10 seconds, based on the setting, right? So if we reduce that, I don't know whether those two flags need to be in the same value or not. But
I don't know that I think that you would actually want the lease to be longer than your refresh.
Right.
If we look at how DHCP does it, right, you typically, as default, if you have a lease, DHCP address lease of 10 minutes,
right,
and I'm going to do a refresh around
minutes.
5 minutes, right? So I never expire my lease. So it sounds like,
but not
I don't know the
not
code.
at 1 minute, not at 1 minute. So there may be some testing to see what's the fastest we can go without actually adversely affecting etcd. Right. I mean,
I think that's
in
true,
our
but I
field
also
trial
think,
we had. Go ahead.
I think that's true, but I think we also need to understand what happens in the failure scenario and how long does it take to elect a new leader at that setting.
So,
I mean, the problem isn't just make sure we get settings that don't overload etcd, but understanding failure behavior when we have those settings that don't overload etcd.
I mean, I would suggest the sprints where we're actually going to start addressing high availability might be the time to really thrash that out.
So, my concern is that if we wait till then and as we're thrashing out, we find something critical that might be a little later in the process than we want.
I mean, but how are we going to be able to test I mean, we don't have where vCore can be replaced by another, right? I mean, we're not running at least I'm not. We're not running multiple vCores.
Yeah, you have to have the failover capability before we can test it. Yes.
So would that be okay? So the Foundry doesn't have a HA in place. Is that correct? So
I don't think anybody does. It's not till like Sprint 7 or Sprint 8 or something like that is when we're actually going to take on that. I mean, I don't know if people are looking at it, but this is why I wasn't going to push this as I have a fix.
Okay.
Because I think there's more questions to be answered before we say this is the right answer. But I can tell you, if you bump that number up, then your etcd will remain responsive.
Yeah, happier. But okay, just for the spirit of the faster response, I know this is a waste of time. Maybe is that 3 seconds better than 1 second or something like that, or is that 10 seconds the first value you guys try?
We went 10 seconds to go overboard to test it out. I mean, just to see, wanted to see if it would make a huge difference.
But I think,
but again, I wanted to have this conversation before I'd say I have the solution.
Right. Stefan, is there something? So in Sienna lab, you always have the high availability cluster, right?
Yeah, we deploy with the 3 nodes, yes.
But are you running more than one vCore?
Well, yes, it's a 3 node, so it has three cores. So they're all 3 instances of each subsystems.
Okay, so you're probably in a better place to test this out than we are then.
I'm wondering whether that's the reason we don't see it.
Or was this issue seen only in a single node deployment, or?
Well, it's etcd is the problem, not vCore.
I know, but if I want to reproduce in my environment, can I deploy that in a single node environment, or can I do it in a? Sorry, was this seen in a single node, a single vCore? That's what you're saying.
Single vCore, but 3 etcds.
3 etcds. Okay.
Right. It's, I mean, it's the timeouts are kind of the replication stuff.
Okay.
I mean, are you running etcd operator or just etcd?
We are. Well, no, we're just we're deploying using the Kubernetes YAML files that are in the repo. So whatever's there is how we deploy it.
Okay. Well, what we've seen at about 2 days, if you're running etcd operator, is about 2 days in, etcd operator will all of a sudden decide that none of the etcd instances are responsive and kill them all.
Yeah.
Well, which is very difficult to recover from that.
Yeah. I know there's issues with etcd operator. So
we're not running that in our field trial. We're just running etcd.
Yeah.
So we don't lose them, but then we were all of a sudden seeing all the problem we were running into is etcd was cleaning up after, so I didn't have any logs to look at to see what the etcd itself thought. Just see that etcd operator was saying, yeah, it's unresponsive. But so when we just ran etcd, what we were seeing was a bunch of heartbeat timeouts, taking the extra 250 milliseconds for the leader heartbeats. And
okay.
But that stuff goes away when you raise the refresh time.
Okay. Well, we can do some tests in our environment to see how it behaves.
One thing. My question is, so Stefan, or if we only have one vCore, does it mean can we have multiple XCD, or the XCD is 1-to-1 to the vCore?
No, etcd is just it's a cluster, so it's not a 1-to-1.
Okay. So there's no the constraint or prerequisite that way. So you can have multiple XCD even though you only have one V on one single VM or whatever, yeah. Right?
etcd wants to have at least 3 instances running.
Oh, okay. So Stefan, on the 3 server composition, right? You have XCD. Each server has one. Each vCore has multiple XCD or just one?
No, it's you have on the 3 node. You'll have 3 etcd instances running on one on each VM. So it's a 3 etcd cluster still, and the vCores will just communicate with one of them.
Okay. Want the Sienna to verify, give it a try on the single node vCore with multiple XCD?
You can try, yes.
You can try that, Stefan? Okay.
Yeah, we can try.
I would think it would actually surface the issue faster if you were running the 3 vCores, because each one of them is going to have that loop.
But the thing is, like we've been testing this quite extensively, and we haven't come across that same behavior you're seeing, because my environment was running for days and without having any issues. So I'll give it a try. But if we can have like specific commands or configuration that you've tried to reproduce this, then that'd be good.
Do we have our own Helm chart?
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, the only difference is where you're pulling things from.
Oh, okay.
Can we look at one of the logs in this Jira? It looks a little concerning to me. It's the one that actually shows the name of the vCore pod. I think it's near the top of the JIRA. There we go. In that sort of scroll down a bit. Yeah, that block right there. Let's see. If we look at the name of the, it says instance ID vcore dash along, identifier with letters and numbers underscore timestamp. Now that looks quite old. That almost tells me we're using the single node Kubernetes environment, which still uses this old style. Now, if we're using the cluster Kubernetes environment, that identifier is no longer that way. It's got to have an integer in it, like vcore-0 underscore timestamp, vcore-1 underscore timestamp. So I'm wondering now if we're using a stale deployment descriptor here for vcore, because it's important for leadership and membership tracking that we have an integer component as part of the vcore pod identifier. So I'm hoping that maybe I don't know if this is coming from the Helm charts, I'm hoping that the Helm charts may not have picked up some of the changes we did as part of our performance.
Rich, would this be set as part of the Helm chat, or is this?
Sorry, I didn't quite.
So is this configuration that would be set as part of the Helm chat, or is it something in the code of the vCore?
Yeah, there's actually the change was quite drastic. I don't know what the Helm chart does, but we basically moved from a deployment resource to a stateful set resource. These are Kubernetes resource types, and they behave differently. And I don't know, I would assume that the Helm chart would reflect the Kubernetes resource type when it would deploy Kubernetes resources.
Well, so I think the Helm chat doesn't reference the resources. I think it basically duplicates them. So it could be the case that the Helm chat was built based on the older version of the Kubernetes resources, and it hasn't been updated. So we should look into that.
Yeah, and there's logic in the coordinator etcd file that has been changed, and it looks specifically for the integer component in vCore. I don't know if that's the root cause of this, but these logs do concern me.
Yeah, so Luca's not on, right? These are his logs.
Hi all. This is Mesut from Nesia. Actually, this log belongs to our deployment because we was working with Luca deployment of the VOLTHA pod. As far as I remember, we pulled out the latest master code, and for other information, as far as I know, I'm not familiar with this the deployment issue because one of my friends is working on that. We deployed on 3 nodes and we have 3 etcd. That's for your information.
All right, so clearly some further testing needs to go. I mean, we can probably move that over to in progress because we've got several people looking at this.
Yeah, so I think I can bring this to Gopi's attention, and maybe we can get Gopi and Rich to sync up on what the differences are between the old resources and the new ones, and then we can update the Helm charts with the new resources.
And Jono, maybe loop into the Mesut, right? Since or Luca, since this is, I think what Mesut is trying to say, at least for me, it was a little bit distorted. I couldn't hear exactly what's the status on their lab with this one. I guess we basically see the same issue, maybe different setting in Foundry also. So it definitely has been reproduced by different server setting.
Yeah, I would say,
John,
you're using
John,
the Helm charts?
John,
Are you using the Helm charts?
Well, we've got our own copies of them because we've got our own Docker registry, but that's the only difference. We're, just because we have incremental builds. But if you can have Gopi just put a tag on or a comment on this, that he's updated the Helm charts, or that they're what they need to be, I'll make sure ours match these.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. So any other discussion we need to have with this one today? Or I think probably at this point waiting for John to have the discussion with Gopi, and then hopefully some updates added in here as well. And perhaps some work on the side between Sienna and Luca and Netsia, if needed, to bring them in as well, and perhaps Foundry as well in terms of the conditions required for reproducibility. But I think probably first is looking at the Helm charts, or work in parallel here probably.
Thanks.
Any other anything else today for this one? Okay, let me see where we left off. I think the last one on here was 1071 for creating Celestica OLT ONU installation and debug page on guide.opencore.org. And that one Luca has assigned to himself. I don't believe he's on. So I think that takes us through kind of the status for this first week where we're working on Sprint 4. So thanks for the good discussion. Next, probably, yes.
Julie, do we go through the other one about the VOLTHA hangs? Is that the same thing? No. There's a.
Is that one of the ones in the Sprint, or is that one of the new issues? I don't know the number on that one.
It happened last week, right? I mean, before the end of Sprint 3. I'm trying to find the Shad is assigned it himself, and I think Shad is
10:30. I think it's 10:30.
Okay, so we can go down here. And, oops, let me scroll down.
In memory, Don.
I just saw updates for it today.
There it is.
Hangs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we saw this a couple more times in our lab using OpenOLT, and then Shad did a bunch of work yesterday and submitted a couple of fixes, and so I've just redeployed with those fixes, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, and I guess the Nick was the original reviewer for that too. So okay, I think Nick.
Well, yeah, Nick is testing it as well.
Okay.
Okay, so I think this one, it sounds like this is in progress, and we should put this into Sprint 4.
So Jana, is that something? So the fix right now is merged. So you're going to take a look at that.
Yeah, I've redeployed it, and we just have to deploy it and wait and see whether it hangs in a few hours or not.
Okay. And this one has nothing to do with XCD, right?
I'm not sure. It looks to me like the failure mode is slightly different.
This is the one that if you reboot the OLT, it hangs because it's trying to push new flows or delete flows from the OLT.
Yeah, so in our deployments, we weren't rebooting the OLT, but we got the same symptoms that Shai got when he did reboot the OLT. So
okay, so then
rebooting the OLT may be a different way of causing the same problem, hopefully.
Well, except the fix just notes that the OLT has been rebooted or is no longer on the network, so it doesn't try to do the flows, which is what was hanging reactor. If it wasn't that scenario, then probably that's not going to solve every instance of this. But
okay. Well, I will test it and also talk with Shab when he comes in.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. thank you. Sean, are there other ones that need
No,
discussion?
but it's just those two has been very highly discussed.
Okay. So we've moved the other one into Sprint 4, so that'll be easier to track now as well.
Okay.
And I think the new issues that came in since you met last week are from 1047 on. So if there are others we need to go before that to review, let me know. I was just planning to try and quickly go over the newer ones. So if we need more time on others, please go ahead and point me down to those. I'll take a look.
No, I think we're good for today.
Okay. Okay. So we have about 13 minutes left. So I'm not sure if we'll have time to go into a detailed review of all of them. So we talked about 1047. We can start working our way up here. Now let's see. I'm trying to decide which way I want to do this for the display. We'll do it this way. Okay.
Nick says Jenkins is down.
Okay. And so, Sean, I had a question for you. You're the assignee on this item. Are you not quite sure what you're looking at? So I didn't know if this was
signing to me. Okay, I'm not worried about that. Okay, it's a story. Okay, I'll take a look.
I didn't know if you were looking at the story to see if anyway.
I'll take a look.
Okay, so this one is showing the container has been generated from in VOLTHA CLI or somewhere else in the container. So this was the new item that was opened up by Luca.
Okay.
And so this was related to particularly useful when using master to have a way to see the commit ID that the container has been generated from. And so that one, so Sean, like I said, I'm not sure if you're the right assignee for that, but I'll let you take a look at it.
I think Luca probably want me to assign some people to work on it. So.
Okay. And then we have a few that were defects that were opened and have closed already and are complete. So first one of those, the OpenOLT exception when stats indication arrives before logical port is created. And so we have some descriptions there. This one's already been completed, but I wanted a chance for folks to see what's kind of in case they didn't have a chance to review it at the time. Any questions for the group? So this was generating an unhandled error before the patch. All right, then 1050 is the next one that again is done. And so this defect was again OpenOLT, not adding stats and alarm indications to the indication queue before indications are enabled. And so this was having some messages such as OLT indication are lost, preventing activation of the OLT. That was one of the side effects here from this, but again, this one's complete. Any questions for the group on this item before we move on? Okay. And then next one, this one also is complete. Did you, and I, yeah, 4 days ago, so I don't think you reviewed these Thursday. I'm hoping I started at the right point. OpenOLT, reconciling management with the ONU adapter, the Broadcom ONU in particular. No description here, so it's just the title there. Any questions from the group? Again, this one has completed. Okay, and then we have one in progress. Actually, in progress, we talked about this during the sprint review, so I can skip over that. 1053 is another one done. This was opened by Shad, and this was to remove the dependency on libprotobuf.so and make specific linkage to the static libprotobuf.a. And that one again is done. All right, and then we have a series of tasks that were opened up, and this is related to the test automation. And so I believe these are being worked by North Forge. Do we have, let me see who we've got on the call. Do we have anyone from North Forge on the bridge today? I was going to see if some of these needed to be moved into Sprint 4. so we can check on that offline. But there's a series here that are opened up. And the first one here, switch the VOLTHA deployment from Docker to Kubernetes. And then next one is for query, CLI, or REST API, and what's the right way to operate the system through CLI or through the REST API. So this one looks like there's going to be a meeting between Daniel and ONF for discussion on this item. And then we'll see if that generates.
Is there anybody else want to be involved just between the Northforge and ONF? I'll see whether I can get into that. Okay. So it's a 10:55.
10:55.
Okay.
And then we have a series of test cases that were entered in here as well, and again related to the test automation work that's being done. First one is OLT provisioning and enabling. And then the second one on the list here is ONU discovery and enabling. Authentication with Radius, unicast flow setup, CTAG and STAG assignment, DHCP, multicast and IGMP. And I think that's it for the subtasks. And we've got the larger epic here as well related to the test automation. I could have
right, and so Noteforge actually have the test cases listed described in the wiki. I still, if people have not provided, review or something like that, please take a look of that and then provide your input.
Yes. Thanks for that pointer, Sean. That's right, because we do have that.
Because I think that the traffic, I don't see too much traffic on that on reviewing that topic. So.
Okay. All right. Next one we have here, moving back down one to 1062, ONU serial number mismatch. This was a defect opened by Shad. And this is with the OpenOLT and the EdgeCore OLT, and then Broadcom and Alpha ONUs. And there are some cases, so it looks like it's not reproducible every time, but instances where the ONU is the wrong serial number at activation. And it sent the serial number of another ONU that's connected to the same OLT.
Jono, we went. You guys went through this last week, right? Is there any updates? Whether the message is sent out as a broadcast or is it just sent to the different AID?
No, I don't think we know what the problem is here yet. We've just seen it, but we haven't debugged the problem.
Okay. Is there something? Do you know whether Shad is reaching out to Nick or Matt or Jonathan on this one?
I don't know, but it would be. I think he said that somebody from the Foundry had seen it. I believe he said that. So.
Okay.
Other questions on this one?
I wonder whether this one is this one assigned to the Spring 4?
I don't believe so yet. Let me go in here in case it's not. Oops.
Maybe send a note to Shad, see whether this can be resolved in Spring 4.
Okay.
Because I think I think one of the John, correct me if I'm wrong, just if you want to, admin down one ONU, actually different ONU got admin down, so. Or something like rebooted, all the ONU rebooted. So it's not, basically the target ONU ID seems to get messed up.
Okay, so we have that question out to Shad to see if we can get this one pulled into to Sprint 4.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look at that. then we've got about 3 minutes left, and we've got quite a few left to go through here. Okay, so 1064. This one is related to the microsemi OLT adapter. Cannot get either net one parameter given by CLI. And Daniel is working this. Pardon?
Daniel from Telefonica is working on this.
Yes. Yes. Correct. And so we may follow up offline to see if they think this will go in Sprint 4. Okay, and then another one for the Sleska OLT. It keeps sending discover packets until the OLT is discovered. So currently it stops after 10. It looks like, and again, that's assigned to Daniel as well. And these are opened just the other day, just yesterday. And then Vol 1066, we have another defect here. etcd operator required, but 0.7.7. Oh, required is 0.7.7, but Helm charts have a different version associated. And so this one was opened by Luca as well. And so it's I think Gopi is assigned to look at this. Pardon?
It's assigned to Gopi.
Yes, it is.
Does it say why? Oh, okay. Because that's a very old version of etcd operator. when we were running it, we found some better behavior. I don't remember which version it was, but I mean, it was like 8. And I know.
Are you saying 077 is even old, also old, or?
Like, yeah, I think on theirs, their stable release is like 9.1. 9.2, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're considering that stable. I think on Google APIs, I think 8 something is the newest they have.
I guess that Stefan is agree. So,
yeah. So when I did my performance testing, I tried to see if there was any better behavior with the issues I was seeing. So I increased it to 0.92 for the operator, and I think 3.218 or something for the actual etcd instance.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I was looking at versions on Google API, I think that whatever one we have in the values, that one hadn't had an update for like 6 or 8 months or something like that, when older ones and younger ones were like updated within like a week. So whatever version is the one we have. I guess it's the 7.3. That nobody's maintaining that branch.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are actually at the top of the hour, so out of time. So do we need to have some more discussion? Just can that be handled with comments in JIRA or some feedback related to the versions?
Yeah, if Don and Stefan can provide some reference, that'll be great. I got to drop.
Great.
Thanks.
Right.
So we have the AdTran on Thursday?
Yes, we have the AdTran presentation on G.Fast on Thursday.
Great.
Okay, so Stefan and or Don, if you could make comments on Vol 1066 related to versioning, that would be appreciated. And since we're out of time, we will wrap up the call today and then pick up on Thursday's meeting. And then Thursday, we do have the G.Fast presentation from AdTran for VOLTHA. Any last comments or questions before we drop the bridge today? All right, I will stop the